Hi everybody, welcome back, or hello if you're new. My name is Feb, and today my latest creation is going to be Mimbulus Mimbletonia, I hope. I've gathered together all the things that I think that we're going to need. I'm going to be using a picture up on my screen which I'll be attempting to copy from, although I won't be making it exactly as it looks in the movies because I don't really like the decoration on the little pot, so I've made a label in Canva, and I'll leave you the link for that in case you want to use it as well. All right, let's get on with it. Okay, I've got everything that I think that I'm going to need here. I've got some paints for painting my plant. I'll insert a picture of what I'm copying here. I mean, you can see that one's huge. It's like the size of Neville's arm. So yeah, mine's going to be tiny because look at the size of my pot. And this is the same pot that I used for the mandrake the other day. So they're going to match pot-wise. Here's my little label. I'll show you a bit closer at the end, but basically it's just the same old label that I usually do. I've put a few cactuses on the bottom and a little black cat for the black cat apothecary. I found this delightful thing. So these are metal corners that you can put on boxes or, you know, whatever. It would look amazing on this pot, but unfortunately, it's going to cover up my label completely. So I don't think I'm going to be able to use it. But, you know, if you didn't want to use a label, you could use something decorative like that and make it really like super fancy, and you know, paint the pot a different color. I'm going to keep mine terracotta just because it will match the other things. Have my air drying clay, some brown for the little tips that go on the Mimbulus, and then I don't know whether I'll use this or not. Probably not, but I've got some, it's actually a home baking cake glitter spray, so it's edible. But I thought maybe I might add a bit of shine to mine. Again, I might not use it. I will also grab, when it's all done and dry, I'll grab my varnish and give it a coat of varnish when it's done. All right then, let's get on with it. Just realised I forgot to mention this. So this little pot contains cat whiskers. Real life cat whiskers from my babies. So what I'm intending to use these for, see how flexible they are? And yet thin enough to just be the little tiny you know, on cactuses they've got these little prickles on them, so these are going to be my prickles. I'm going to chop them up into tiny pieces and then glue them on at the end because I just think they're so cute, and my cats will be involved in this making. I'd intended to keep these for making a cat's whiskers ingredient, but they're so hard to find. I rarely ever find my cat's whiskers. I never find Inigo's because his are black and I just can't see them. So these are probably nearly all Archie and Loki. Okay, there's a random thing. I mean, you can use whatever you want. Little bits of cotton, bits of fishing wire. Fishing? I don't know why I said it like that. Fishing wire. But anyway, there we go. So this is the clay. So I don't know if you remember, if you ever watched the mandrake one, but I got some air drying clay in that make your own mandrake kit, and it was so dried out I couldn't use it. Luckily I did have this spare, so I'm just going back to this big old chunk again, and I'm going to use this to make some blobs. Basically, I mean, they are blobs, the whole lot, and I'm not going to fill up the pot at the moment. I'm going to put some bako foil in that later when I'm ready to assemble. But right now I'm just going to make myself a pile of random sized little balls. And then I'm going to use my metal tool just to blend them together a bit. So as you can see, I'm literally just rolling them up into any old size at all. And then I'm just going to build up the layers and see how we get on. But first I want to get my base layer done. So looking at the picture, they seem to be kind of bulging out over the pot, which is fun. I think I need one more. And then that should be enough to cover. Yeah, that's fine, isn't it? And I think what I'm going to do is if there's any, oops, if there's anything that's kind of showing, then I'll cover it up with a bit of moss. In fact, I might do that anyway, just because that's such a nice thing to do. Okay, so now I need to start squeezing these together, and I will go and get my tool for that purpose. I've got a couple here. This one, the metal one that I use for everything, is covered in glue and paint. And then this one, it's got two little balls, one on either end, different sizes, so those should do. And I'm just going to mush them together and then build upon that. Oops. And then I will start to also build up some height. And I'm not bothering to smooth out the bits in the middle because there's no point, they're not going to be seen. This is going to take forever to dry. One more. If I find at the end of this that I haven't done it as well as I would have liked, then I can always glue the bits together, can't I? It's no big deal. This doesn't have to be perfect. The plant itself just isn't, you know? Okay, time for more little balls. I'm also going to make some of them a little bit more oval. Just to add a bit of interest. And again, I need to remind myself not to go too mad with this because this is a very small pot. And also think about where it's going to be displayed, because you might not want it to be too tall or too small. My shelves are ever changing, so I don't know. I think I'm going to do 3 layers and have a little arm coming out. And you can tinker with this for as long as you like. Just until you get something that you're happy with. If you find you've got any rough bits, then you can always sand them down afterwards. Okay, so then there are some weird little tips on each of these little round baubles, and I'm just going to try and make those using this thing, using it to smooth out some areas and lift others into little tips, because otherwise if you try and glue on little things, they're likely to fall off. I feel more chance of staying on if they're part of the fabric of the thing. I'm not going to put one on every single ball, for want of a better word. And you can faff about with this for as long as you like until you're happy with it. Okay, I said I wasn't going to put the tips on every single one, but it looks like I'm doing just that. I think they'll add a bit of extra interest to the plant when it's all painted up, you know? Break up the sea of green a bit. This would be such a fun thing to do if you have children on a long winter's day, you know, when you need to entertain them, or even during the summer holidays. Okay, I think I'm going to leave that for now and just give it some time to dry. It's going to take a couple of days, I should think. It's so thick. I'll check it again this time tomorrow, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, next step is going to be paint, and this is just the first coat. I'm going to use this one, number 4. It's a beautiful teal green, and I'm going to put that on first because it's the darkest of the greens that I intend to use, and then I'll go over it with a lighter one later when that's dry. Okay, so that's a super nice kind of honeydukes green, really, I guess. It's very roughly painted for this first coat. It is the base coat. I've left some of the white tips just white so I can more easily see them when it comes to putting on the second coat and then painting those. So I will leave that to dry. By the way, if you want to cut down on mess, if say for example you haven't got any gloves, these are just hair dyeing gloves, you could use a cake turning table. You know the kind of thing I mean? The thing that you put your cake on and it turns around, and you could do it that way and then just save yourself any kind of, you know, awkwardness holding it. Or just use a tissue like I am and turn it around. Okay, wow, that looks interesting. Okay, for the second colour, I'm going to go a lot lighter, a lot brighter, and I'm going to use it a lot thinner as well. I'm going to just make this a lot more watery, and I'm just doing that in the cap, just for ease. And then I'm going to apply it, not quite as, you know, thoroughly as the previous one. I'm just going to go over like this. Forgot to put my gloves on. And then go all the way around, making sure that anything that I missed the first time around, I'm picking up this time. And I'm going to just take, this is actually a dampened tissue. And so that this doesn't get too thick, I'm just going to dab where I've painted, just to give us a bit more depth. As you can see, it's taken off some of the colour, but not all of it. And I will continue this all the way around. And then I'm going to let that dry and reassess it. And I'm using a fan to aid with the drying. Okay, I think this needs more depth in the crannies, in between, so I'm actually going to go for a darker green. Maybe this. It's kind of grey. Has that dried out? Oh, that's so dried out. Oh, what a shame. Okay, well, in that case, let's go for number 11. This is just a random pack of acrylics. I mean, you can use any colours. Yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful colour. Okay, we'll do that one. And I'm just going to use a very, very thin brush. And again, I'm going to just make it slightly less thick and just paint around in between, just to add a bit more depth here. Very watery, just barely there, just adding a little bit of an extra layer to give it a bit more depth. And again, if you think you've put too much on, like I did then, you can water it down and fade it in, or you can take it off again with a tissue. It's all about just giving it a bit of extra dimension. and then I'm going to stop faffing with it and leave it to dry properly and just do the brown tips. Okay, that's dry. I've got my satin varnish. It's the same one that I've used for pretty much everything that I've done so far, and it's a good one. So I'm just going to drop a little bit of that into there, get my brush. I'm not being precious about this at all. One glove should do it. And then this is just to give it a bit of a sheen once it's all painted, and it just gives it a bit of added protection. And I'm just chucking it on. Ooh, I can see a bit of paint that I've missed. Need to go back and do that. Unbelievable. Doesn't matter how many times you turn it around or how bright your lights are, there's always a bit that you miss. 2 bits. Just found another one. Okay, I'm just going to leave that to dry now, and in the meantime all I've done is chuck some old paper into my terracotta pot, and I'm going to glue on my label. Okay, I have stuck on my label, and I have gone over the whole thing with a little bit more of an olive colour, and the reason for that is because when I came to filling up my gaps with some moss, the teal and the moss colour that I have, and I don't have any other, unfortunately, they just clashed a bit. So now it's time to add my whiskers. I've just chopped them up into tiny little pieces, and all I'm going to do is just put a bit of glue in there, and then using some what are these things called? Tweezers. Come on, Darkstar, wake up. It's getting late in the day and I'm really tired. I'm just going to dip the end in, and then I'm going to stick it to my Mimbulus, and they're just going to go anywhere really. Cat whiskers are super stiff as it happens. It's amazing how stiff they are. Okay, this is going to take a while, and I don't have that many, so I may need to, come up with some other solution. I'm thinking fishing wire. I do have some of that somewhere, goodness knows where. I can't remember where I've put it, but yeah, I'll just attach these in the meantime and take it from there. Okay, so here we are with the finished product. I just added a tiny little white tip to the end of each of the little nibs. It seemed to be on the picture that they had little white ones. I haven't got enough cat whiskers, so this will be added to as and when I pick up more before they go up the Hoover, hopefully. But yeah, this is basically the finished product. I'm quite happy with it. I think next to the Mandrake, they make quite the pair, and so yeah, I'm quite happy with these. I will be putting them on my herbology shelf next to my greenhouse, and calling that the end of this little project. Do let me know, have you made either of these before, and if so, what did you use and how did they come out? Okay, I'll see you soon for the next one. Take care and stay safe, everybody.